子宫内日记揭示生命的奇迹。
Dr. Mark Money is a cosmetic surgeon in what is probably the world's most silicone-enhanced neighborhood, Beverly Hills.
The majority of patients that come to me are fundamentally looking to be more successful in the sexual selection process. Commonly in women, they're going to be looking for procedures that make them look younger. And that, again, is because youth is something that is attractive in the process of sexual selection. And so a younger looking female is going to naturally be more attractive to any male.
In 2004, plastic surgeons carried out nearly 340,000 breast implants and around 250,000 face and forehead lifts in the US alone. But it's not just women who want to cheat nature in the mating game. In that same year, 1.2 million men had plastic surgery, including 719 pectoral implants.
Things that men look for in plastic surgery are going to be things that make them maybe look more masculine a lot of the time. For example, a chin implant to make the man have a stronger jaw.
This explosion of personal re-engineering could have a serious effect on human attractiveness in the future.
It actually may make the population more unattractive because people with unattractive features can have them changed and consequently be more successful reproductively. So their offspring will still have the genes that carried unattractive features on.
But hey, looks aren't everything, and women more than men seek out other assets. For women, the ideal mate is more than just a source of fertile sperm. She seeks the more intangible characteristics, such as reliability, loyalty, kindness, that suggest a good husband and a good father for her children. But it's not possible to judge these just from looks.
For millions of years, a woman couldn't really look at a man and size him up to know whether he would be a good provider and a good protector.
Fisher finds a major clue as to how women weigh up their prospective mates by analyzing the brain scans of her female students. The women in love have more blood racing through a part of the brain called the hippocampus, an area associated with the processing of memory. But what has memory got to do with sexual attraction and a woman's love life? Fisher suggests that women are particularly interested in the men's character, and that they build up a memory map of their behavior in order to determine if they will be a suitable mate and father to their children.
She needed to remember what he did last Valentine's Day, what he promised last Christmas, what he didn't do last summer. She needed to remember to see if he was going to be a good husband and a good father.
And for that, memory is vitally important.
And in fact, that's what women do all the time. We get on the telephone and talk to other women, constantly recounting what he did and didn't do. What we're doing is creating a memory trail of whether this is going to be a good individual to pass on our DNA with.
It makes good evolutionary sense for a woman to mate with a reliable man who will help her raise their children. But women look for other things in men that will help their offspring succeed, such as status. Status is important in the mating game, as wealthy, powerful, dominant men are seen as being able to provide a good life for possible offspring. And they advertise this status with fancy cars and elegant clothes. But status is only part of the story. For humankind to survive and prosper, we need healthy offspring, with healthy genes and a healthy immune system to protect them from disease. But how can you tell if the man or woman you think is attractive will bring a suitable and healthy immune system along to the party? Scientists suggest that getting your partner to play a little hot and sweaty sport might help, so you can properly analyze their DNA with your nose. Evolution has driven men and women to behave in different ways to maximize their chances of winning a mate. But behavior is only part of the story. Scientists are now conducting new experiments to decipher more and more of the coded signals our bodies send out to attract a sexual partner. Signals that contain hidden information about the type and quality of the immune system we may pass on to our children, and that we read in an instant. University of New Mexico biologist Randy Thornhill believes that we interpret these signals in milliseconds without even knowing we are doing it.
Our awareness is just, this person is more attractive than that person, when in fact we're doing very sophisticated calculations. They're going on in our heads, and all this is done very unconsciously and very quickly.
He believes the human nose is one of the best tools we have for deciphering secret messages of sexual attraction from the opposite sex. To illustrate this, Thornhill gets some students to wear identical, freshly laundered white shirts during a game of basketball. As the players perspire, their shirts absorb the sweat, which contains pheromones, odorless airborne molecules exuded from the sweat glands of both men and women. Pheromones are believed to be involved in attracting the opposite sex. What Thornhill has discovered is that they have a far more complex role and convey far more complex information than previously believed. In his laboratory, Thornhill asks a group of female biology graduates to put their sense of smell to the test.
The women will smell these shirts worn by each man and rate them for sexiness, pleasantness, and intensity.
The women have no idea which shirt belongs to which athlete. They take each shirt in turn, sniff and consider its scent, and write down which they like best. Based on nothing more than smell, the girls decide which shirts they find most pleasant and most sexy. Thornhill analyzes the immune systems of the male and female volunteers by studying the major histocompatibility complex, or MHC, a group of genes that play an important role in the body's defense system. He discovers that the women students prefer the smell of men with a dissimilar MHC, thus favoring guys whose immune systems differ from their own.
The general pattern is that both men and women like the body scent of individuals who are dissimilar, who are different from them.
This makes good evolutionary sense. The immune system helps fight off disease. How good it is depends on the genes. People who inherit a range of genes have an advantage.
Because diseases evolve very, very quickly, you need genetic variation in the offspring to get the right genetic combination to cope with the currently prevalent diseases.
For the perfect match, lovers should have immune system capabilities that differ from each other. Then their babies get the best of the mix, a diversity giving them a better chance of a healthy life. Human beings, just like the girls in Thornhill's study, are able to pick a suitable genetic mate just with their noses. Thornhill's experiments back up earlier European studies that pheromones subconsciously reveal the body's defense secrets to others, although nobody yet understands how this works. But our noses can detect more than just different genes. They can also detect symmetry. It may seem bizarre, but women prefer the smell of men who are more symmetrical.
More symmetric men smell better to women, specifically to women who are at the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle.
The fact that symmetry attracts the opposite sex is nothing new. It was first noted by researchers in the 1990s and has proved a popular topic for the media ever since. The original symmetry studies measured a series of faces to determine how symmetrical they were, then asked people to rate the faces in order of attractiveness. Thornhill demonstrates this test with a biology class of 2005.
Rate the attractiveness of some male faces, with 10 being most attractive and 1 being least attractive.
Well, I would rate this first individual as about a 3 or a 4. I think the second picture is a lot more attractive than the first. I'd rate him more as a 4 or 5.
I'd say the girl on the left's about a 3, and the girl on the right's a little more attractive. I'd give her about a 6 to 6.5.
I guess the one on the left I'd put at about a 4, and the one on the right a 6.
Like the earlier studies, the faces people thought most attractive were consistently those that were most symmetrical. What's strange is that if a face is completely symmetrical, like these artificially created by mirroring each side of the face, the result is unnatural. Perfect symmetry is unattractive. Scientists do have a theory about why we find symmetrical faces appealing.
Symmetry is a reliable signal of quality because symmetry is very, very difficult to get right, and hence symmetry is a marker of the quality of the individual to develop perfect bilateral symmetry.
Recent research from 2004 discovered that our faces reveal hidden clues about our quality as a prospective partner. Just like the pheromones, faces also display information about our immune system. In the study, women selected pictures of men they found most attractive. When they analyzed the blood from the men, they found that the men chosen as the most attractive had a greater variety of genes and hence a stronger immune system. No one quite knows how our faces convey this information. It's possible that people with a good immune system are less prone to diseases and parasites, the sort of things that might lead to asymmetrical features when we are developing. Whatever the answer, our symmetrical looks, it seems, are the store window in which we advertise the strength of our genes.
The evolutionary process over the last several million years has put into our brains psychological mechanisms that function to assess health of others. And we interpret that as attractiveness of others. And that attractiveness corresponds with these health markers. The symmetry, clear skin.
Symmetry appears so important that the female body even performs its own tricks to appear more symmetrical. In a simple experiment at the University of Liverpool, England, biologists measure the hands and ears of women before, during, and after ovulation. They discover that 24 hours before ovulation, the women's hands and ears alter shape to become more symmetrical. Scientists are not sure how this happens, but they think it's due to changes in water retention in the cells of the hands and ears. Because these changes are not the same on both sides of the body, they have the effect of altering the woman's symmetry. This could be perceived by males as a sudden increase in attractiveness. But once we have found our future mate, there remains a further mystery that perplexes countless men and women every day. How do we persuade them to take an interest in us? Don't despair. It turns out that science can lend a hand by improving your chances of winning in the great mating game with practical, scientific tips to make you more attractive to the opposite sex. Our range of possible sexual partners and long-term mates is phenomenal. Every day we pass hundreds of people, any one of whom could turn out to be the perfect partner. Anthropologist Helen Fisher studies the science of how we choose our lovers, seeking to understand what amazing process of biology makes us fall in love with someone else and then keeps us together long enough to have children. She has broken down this process of sexual attraction into 3 stages: lust, romantic love, and attachment. Each of these 3 sexual drives comes with its own biochemical trigger, one or more hormonal messengers carrying information from one cell to another. In fact, Science now recognizes that a powerful arsenal of chemicals manipulates our decisions without us ever realizing what's happening. Lust is driven by the hormone testosterone. Men produce it in their testes, women in their ovaries. It travels through the blood to the brain and stimulates the sex drive. It's what drives someone on their first tentative steps toward having sex, seeking their very first date. But lust can be influenced by other emotions. Social psychologist Art Aaron studies how sexual attraction can be heightened by feelings of fear and anxiety.
When it comes to initial intense attraction, you experience intense physiological arousal. Your heart beats fast, as would happen if you were running or if something tense or exciting had happened.
These feelings are similar to those caused by fear. His research suggests that fear and anxiety can initiate feelings of sexual attraction and even make people appear more attractive. Aaron puts his theory to the test by conducting some, literally, high-level research. A high and wobbly suspension bridge provides the perfect location for the experiment. A female researcher stands in the middle of the bridge, a spot chosen as likely to induce a rush of excitement or fear. She stops passing men and asks them to complete a questionnaire. The questions are not particularly special, but at the end of the interview, she hands each man her phone number in case they have any further questions about the study.
Thanks so much.
In the second stage of the experiment, the researcher changes locations, this time to a low, solid, and perfectly safe bridge. Again, she asks passing men to answer the questionnaire. Again, at the end of the interview, she gives them her phone number. The next day, back in the office, she waits by the phone. She keeps a log of which men call her and on which bridge they had met. The demonstration appears to support the excitement hypothesis. 4 times more men from the scarier wobbly suspension bridge call than from the safe and solid bridge. Fear makes the woman more sexually attractive to the men. So, forget a romantic meal. Perhaps the best place for the first date is someplace really scary.